It's only been 8 games in the Toronto Maple Leafs' young season, but yet the panic button has been pushed from fans all over this country. Of course, it didn't help when they got thumped over the weekend too as well. And not only that, but they've really been thumped into the home games they've played this season. Now, with that said, and what's kind of, we don't know what's going on in the dressing room. But with the start they've had and the slow start they've had and the constant calls for change, should Randy Carlyle be afraid that his job could be taken? Do you see him as the coach by the end of this year even? Never mind the season, at the end of this year.
I'll tell you what, if Randy Carlyle wasn't afraid for his job before training camp, then he's sadly mistaken. Because you know what? They were calling for him early, and they were calling for him during the summertime. Yeah. So the jury's out there right now. I don't feel too bad about it. At least I hate Toronto. I'm sorry. But you know what? Carlyle won't make it to Christmas. And the thing is, you know who's going to be coming in. And he's currently coaching in Detroit. And he'll be there in the fall next year. Guarantee you.
No, I agree. I think it was his job that he sort of had to win at the beginning of the season, and he just hasn't done it. They haven't been good enough, and he'll be axed here pretty quick.
So you see him done before the month is over, or say January?
Well, I think it won't be a very good Christmas in the Carlyle household. Yeah. I got a feeling. And the thing is, it's not all on him. You know what? And everybody can blame, and we always like to, in our society, we want to point the finger at somebody to blame. And the easiest guy to blame is the coach. He's got some bad leaders on that team. I don't think Dion's a good leader. Phil Kessel rather sitting on his couch playing Xbox and eating pizza than playing hockey. So, and that's the honest truth. But I think they have a lot of problems with leadership in that room.
He looks more like a gamer than a hockey player.
Yeah, exactly.
You could say that. Well, speaking of a team that's played big games, Dallas Cowboys, they did suffer a loss to Washington on Monday night. 6-2, however, first in the NFC East and one of the best records in the NFL. Do you think this team is actually a legit contender for a Super Bowl?
I am a big fan of the Cowboys right now, only because of the way they're running the ball. And I think if they can, and I'm not saying they will, but if they can continue to run the ball like they are, man, they're going to be tough to beat. Like, Romo makes just enough plays, and if he keeps the mistakes low, they'll be okay. I mean, Murray's been great. Des Bryant's been unbelievable, and their defense has played well enough right now that if they can maybe get a couple more guys, get a pass rush going, then they'll be in it for the long haul. I really believe that. And the division isn't the toughest. They can, as long as they can get past the Eagles, they can kind of coast to the playoffs.
That's going to be fun too, because come November they play the Eagles, of course, in the Thanksgiving Day game. So that should be
that'll be a good one.
Doing 1 and 2.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not a true believer in Romo. And always kind of the jury for me has always been out on Romo, whether or not he can lead this team. But at the same time, like Aaron says, I don't think they have to depend a lot on Tony anymore. He has a lot of other weapons, got a great offensive line. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think with all that, and if they limit Tony to certain aspects of the game and let the other stars in that team take over, I think they'll be fine.
I think one of the things we can at least agree on is that the coaching staff in Dallas will be safe this year. We can't say that for a lot of teams. We can't say that for a lot of teams. And there's a couple teams here, including a couple names that were familiar in the CFL, that I'm going to bring up for you guys. I'm going to give you a list of NFL coaches, and you tell me if they should keep their job or not. And we're going to start off with the Bears, 3-5, Mark Trestman.
Yes.
Keep his job?
Absolutely.
Why?
100%. It's only his second year. Second year, right?
Yeah.
He's Jay Cutler. They think that they got this star quarterback in Chicago, and he's just not. To me, he's got a great arm, but he makes terrible decisions.
But that's the whole point. You brought in Mark Trestman, who's a guy who could actually help the quarterbacks.
I don't think
he doesn't look how he can help him.
I don't like if Trestman was to pick a quarterback, it wouldn't be Cutler. I really don't think that. I think he got stuck with Cutler and was supposed to mold him into something that he's not, and it's not fair to Trestman. That's the organization trying to save their bacon on giving Cutler that ridiculous contract.
See, and that's a curious thing now in Chicago. What's going to happen? Do you keep the quarterback or do you keep the coach? Who's going to win out there?
And who do you think should stay?
You know what? Unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, it's usually the coach that goes.
So you're saying Trestman's gone?
Yeah.
Okay, what about this one? I think this is pretty obvious. Jets, 1-6, Rex Ryan.
Yeah. Not a Rex Ryan fan. I think he's a talent coach. He coaches, when he had the best roster in the NFL, he was a guy who was nonstop talk and was talking about how they're going to win the Super Bowl, and he was smack talking other players. And now he doesn't have that, star defense, and they're terrible, and they can't get a quarterback to play, and he'll be gone soon if not within the next couple of weeks, like by the end of the season for sure.
Yeah, he won't make it to the end of the season.
All I have to say is that the Browns are 4-3, and one of his coaches back in 2012, Mike Pettin, on the defensive side.
Oh, really?
Just saying.
Yeah.
That was helpful. How about this one, guys? Titans 2-6. Ken Wisenhunt, fired? Not fired.
Not fired for me. I like Wiz. I think he deserves at least another season to maybe a quarterback to groom. Jake Locker is obviously not the guy there, but I'd give him this season and one more. I think he's a good coach.
Yeah, I think he stays too.
Okay, Jags, Gus Bradley, 1-7.
Yeah.
Is there just an easy scapegoat in that one? I
Yeah,
guess?
it's got to be, unfortunately.
I think he's a great coach. He's a Pete Carroll guy. Like, they have a terrible roster, and he's keeping them up, and I would keep him, but I agree 1-7 just isn't going to cut it, especially after last year.
Okay, guys, how about this one? Falcons 2-6, Mike Smith.
That's a tough one because
Very tough one.
He's had some good teams over the years, and
He's got a stud of a quarterback. You can't blame it.
Couple
so you
receivers,
don't
too.
you don't know where
They
the
got
blame
the
is to go,
receivers.
and you don't know where the blame is to go. Is it to go on the talent on the field, or is it, the man calling the shots on the sidelines? And you know what? Like I said before, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to get rid of the talent. They're going to get rid of the coach.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to fire a coach than it is to get rid of 45 players. So I like Mike Smith. He's still got a chance to make the playoffs. That division's struggling right now, so he makes the playoff. He sticks around. If not, then he's probably done.
That's sad.
They do have a great roster though.
You have Carolina at 3-4-1 leading that division.
Yeah, that's the thing. They can still get in there, and they can make some noise when they get in the playoffs. They got playmakers all over the place.
All right, guys, we're going to take a commercial break, take time away from these playmakers, and get to a playmaking game that we could call Over Under. Coming up.